Welcome into Sports Memos Betting Podcast. College football, every game on the board. The second segment here with Joe Raineri. Joe, welcome into the pod. How are you?
Wow, exciting stuff, man. I think we had week 11, which was really cool. LSU, you're welcome. But I think this is going to be even more important this week, especially your alma mater, Auburn. I think they're the key to chaos, my friend.
Yeah, that's a big one. The oldest rivalry in the South, Georgia versus Auburn. And we got the next 15 games on this card with Joe Raineri. The first segment was with mid-major Matt, the first 15 games. So we're starting off here, Joe. Rotation number 331, 332, Ohio State at Rutgers. And we're seeing the Buckeyes minus 52.5 on the highway. I'm not 100% sure of this, Joe, but I believe this is the second largest road favorite in quite some time since they've been tracking this number. I mean, laying over 50 points on the road in college football. That is a big favorite by any standard. 61.5 being the total here, Joe. What are you thinking?
So basically, they're telling you that Rutgers might score 8 points, like maybe if they're lucky there. To me, it's all about Ohio State. It's either lay the points or nothing. I don't think they're going to allow Rutgers in the end zone. I think it's going to be a shutout. I think Ohio State's all about style points now, so I don't think they dropped 70-some-odd points last week against Maryland. How dare you rat us out? So I don't anticipate they're going to have a hard time scoring 50-some-odd points in this game. It's not at the top of my card, but if I was going to play, I would definitely lay the points and get it done, make history again.
All right, Joe, that's in the Big Ten there to start off. We got Louisville at NC State in the ACC up next. Louisville laying 4 on the highway, 55.5 the total here, Joe.
Yeah, listen, Louisville is a program that is on the rise. It's amazing what you can do when you get actual coaching in there, and the Bobby Petrino days are long gone. They kind of got beat up there by the University of Miami not too long ago. So I don't like NC State. I think it's another one of these programs that poor offensive line play. They got injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I do think this is going to be an actual rather easy win for Louisville this week.
Joe, next game up, fascinating handicap, fascinating kind of story here, miracle story, so to speak, with Minnesota, the Golden Gophers at Iowa. So here in Iowa City on the road here, they are catching 3, a team that controls their own destiny to the quote-unquote national championship here, Joe. Catching 3 on the highway, 44 the total.
Yeah, and listen, if you guys can still get 3, because I've seen it starting to drop down to 2.5. This is a game that Iowa is not going to win, I don't think. I think this is the game where it's going to push the limits of Minnesota. Minnesota can beat Iowa, guys. I don't know that they belong in the conversation with the big dogs, but it's also a trap game as far as that goes, because this is a situation where Iowa, what the hell do they got to lose? This could be their national championship game. But you want to give me 3. If you can get it, guys, I would be all over the Minnesota Gophers here. I definitely think this is the pinnacle for them. They can get this job done. I'm not sure they can go beyond this, but Iowa they can get done for sure, and then make us all scream and yell a little bit more about why aren't they in the top 5? Why is Utah ahead of them? Yeah, we're going to have that conversation again next week about Minnesota.
Yeah, row the boat here in Iowa City. I'm with you, man. We got Wake Forest at Clemson up next, 34.5. That's what the Tigers are laying in Death Valley, South Carolina. 59.5 being the total here, Joe.
So disappointing with Wake Forest. I mean, they were in the top 25 last week. They throw up all over themselves, and now all of a sudden they have to go against a Clemson team that is really, let's face it, Clemson's all about the style points. They are, too, just going to run as many people over and say, look at us, because nobody's looking at them. In fact, people actually are saying, you're the only ACC in the top 25. Like, who have you played? Yeah, well, who you played? I'll tell you what, we played everybody we were supposed to play, and we beat them by 50. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're an improved team, but I do believe they lost their leading wide receiver. Their quarterback also hurt this year. This is Clemson by far an easy cover by at least 40.
Joe, heading to Maction, we got CMU, that's Central Michigan at Ball State. Ball State's been a moneymaker over the season here. 2.5 is what they're laying in Muncie, 60 being the total. Chippewas at Ball State here.
Yeah, now there's a situation where I wouldn't anticipate an awful lot of defense here, guys. But I do know this about Ball State. Not only have they been able to make a lot of us a ton of money this year, but they've also been able to put up a ton of points. I don't think that's a big enough number, believe it or not. I think there's some value in the over in these games between these two teams who suspect at the defensive side of the ball, both of them. But I think easily these two teams can score in the 30s.
Yeah, Ball State's offense is it's fun to watch there in Maction. Drew Plitt throwing it around. The running backs real good as well. Heading to the Fun Belt up next. Talking about overs, I kind of look towards a lot of scoring in this one. Talking about UL Monroe, the Warhawks in Statesboro, Georgia at Georgia Southern here, with Georgia Southern laying 6.5, 57 the total here, Joe.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because we've all heard about, it's always been ULL, right? Oh my God, they can score 1 million points. They can do, the problem is they've actually been pretty good on defense this year. Their offense is kind of, it's still a work in progress. They can score with the best of them, but it's not the same old what we're used to. I do think Georgia Southern, they've got the horses to be able to get this one done. I do like ULL's, I do like their defense, but I don't think they can keep up scoring-wise with Georgia Southern. I'll lay the points. I'll take Georgia Southern.
All right, Joe, we got UMass at Northwestern. Anytime we're talking the Minutemen, it's a fascinating handicap. Not necessarily good football, Joe, but 56.5 being the total. And we're seeing Northwestern. This is not a very good Northwestern team, Joe. I think even Northwestern fans will admit that. And they're laying over 40 points. I can't imagine betting this game either way. What do you think?
No, I can't, but it's either Northwestern or bust, or it's the under, because let's face it, it's not like Northwestern. I don't think they can score 40 points, even if they try, to be completely honest with you. But you might want to look. I think they rank 125th in just about 291 yards a game. I mean, they're not good. Neither one of these two teams are going to be very good offensively. The big thing for them is defense. That's what Northwestern, at least they can play some defense coming off that big game against Purdue there last week. I lean the under in this one. I would avoid the total, but I would definitely lean towards the under and expect them to do their best to shut down UMass.
All right, heading back down to the Sun Belt, we got Troy at Texas State. We got the Trojans laying 7 on the highway. Their quarterback Barker's pretty good, Joe. He can throw it around, 63.5 being the total in San Marcos.
Another one of those games where I do think there's going to be a boatload of points here. And you're right. I do love the QB. I love the weapons they got. This is going to be, I think, one of the fun games of the weekend to watch. These two teams are going to go at it. I've been a big fan of Troy all year, and I got to tell you, I'm leaning towards the over in this one, guys. I'm thinking another one of these, 42-38 kind of situations. I wouldn't expect an awful lot of defense. I'd expect a boatload of scoring, though.
Joe, we got New Mexico at Boise State up next on the blue turf there in Boise. 27 in the hook. That's what Boise's laying at home. 59 being the total here, Joe.
Yeah, the Broncos are giving up, I think, 18 points per game, if I remember my notes correctly. They're still playing some defense, especially at home. And the under is 4-0 in the Lobos' last 4 games following a against the number loss here. Lobos is, work in progress, guys, but I think the number is maybe a tad high here, and I don't know how New Mexico is going to score, and I do think Boise State at home, they are a different animal. So, yeah, the under is 7-2 in the Broncos' last 9 conference games as well. I think the under gets the job done in this one.
Joe, side question here. Does New Mexico score more touchdowns, or does Bob Davie coach more Division I college football games in his career?
Oh, Bob Davie, without a doubt. You got to be kidding. They ain't scoring no points. You stop it, man. They ain't scoring no touchdowns. And they're trying, and I will give them that. At least they're, and I give the same thing for UMass, New Mexico, UConn. They're fielding teams. I guess that's half the battle, and they got kids that are showing up on the bus, so it's good, I guess, I think.
They're fielding teams.
Good. They're fielding teams. I mean, what else can you – that's the best thing we can say about it. Listen, they got guys to fill the uniform, so Congratulations, alumni of those schools. My God.
That's wonderful. Oh, the Lobos. They're fielding teams.
That's when you got to come up with a positive for UMass, UConn, and New Mexico Lobos. Well, at least the kids show up. That's half the battle.
All right, man. Let's get back here. We got Pac-12 action. 12 back here. Okay. UCLA at Utah. The Utes laying 21 in Salt Lake. They got their eyes on that playoff there, Joe. Maybe style points. 51.5 the total.
Listen, guys, only 2 Utah games have gone over this year. It's suffice to say that defense is the real deal. And I think they held UCLA to 10 points last year, and nothing that I've seen from UCLA or I've seen out of Utah would lead me to believe that scenario is going to change. I think that's probably what they're looking at again this game. So I am definitely leaning Utah, going with the defense and the under in this Pac-12 matchup.
Joe, Air Force at Colorado State in the Mountain West. The Falcons running the triple option, laying 10 or 10 in the hook. This is a good one to shop around depending which one you're looking to bet. 64 the total here, Joe.
Big fan of Air Force. Listen, Colorado State, nice season, 0 defense, which is going to be a problem because of that triple option in Air Force, which means they're never going to be off the field. Altitude not going to be a problem there, obviously. They've got a great passing game, Colorado State, but in order to be able to utilize that, you have to be on the field. They're not going to be on the field. Air Force is going to dominate time of possession in this game. Air Force is going to win this game rather easily.
Joe, next game up, staying in the Mountain West, we got Wyoming at Utah State. Yes, that's Wyoming on the road here in Logan, Utah. With Utah State, they were as high as 6.5 pretty much across the board. A little bit of buyback here on the Cowboys. We got 50 being the total. Utah State laying 5.5 at home.
Yeah, give me Utah State is the most frustrating team in the world here. They go for 4 or 5 weeks. They can't score more than a touchdown. They got this kid Love at the quarterback, supposed to be great. They've got athletes. They run high up-tempo offense, but they're so inconsistent, so erratic. There's no way I'd ever be comfortable laying any sort of number like that with an offense that I don't know who's showing up. I know they run a lot of plays, but I've seen for long stretches that doesn't equate to scoring. And I think Wyoming, I like their defense in this matchup, and I think Wyoming's going to surprise some people here.
Joe, we head back down to the Sun Belt. We got App State at Georgia State here, 62 being the total. App State laying 16.5 in Atlanta. And Joe, interesting side note here, Georgia State's quarterback, Dan Ellington, a big part of that offense. If you've ever watched the Panthers play, he went out last game.
And took the second half.
Yeah, for sure. That was actually a great bet there.
Yeah.
And but just overall, just so everybody knows, the backup quarterback, freshman, he was actually he completed his first pass of his college career just last game. So keep that in mind when looking to bet this game. We're seeing a total of 62, minus 16.5 in the house. The Atlanta Braves used to call home.
Yeah, listen, guys, 16.5 is an important number because we usually often we look at those numbers, 17 and a half. We can get it if we can get it under 17, and you can get that. I think App State's in that spot right now where they finally got named to the top 25 again. But again, this is one of those situations where people are going, they haven't beat anybody in the top 25. Why the hell would a team in the top 25 be there if they haven't beat anybody in the top 25? It's a legitimate question. So I do think they're going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder from here on out. They're going to want to prove that they are worthy as one of these other 5. And, expect them to put the foot on the gas here and win this game by a lot, especially without the quarterback.
All right, he's Joe Raineri. Check out his work at sportsmemo.com. A couple games left here, guys, but did want to throw out the podcast coupon code for this section. We got Joe69, that's JOE69 at checkout for his 7-day all-access pass, less than $10 a day. And, guys, remember, it's college basketball, college football, NFL, all the sports that Joe is handicapping. You get every play in every sport for the next 7 days, less than $10 a day. That's $50 off with this coupon code Joe69. Just his name and then his favorite number behind it. Joe69 saves you $50 at sportsmemo.com. Joe, we got Navy at Notre Dame up next. Irish laying 7 in South Bend, 53.5 the total.
Yeah, you know what? This was one of the first games that I actually I bet early on in the week, guys, and I love Navy in this situation. I think it sets up perfect for them. I think that listen, Notre Dame, love love everything about what they represent for college football, the tradition. I love Brian Kelly. I love them all, but I think this kid, Malcolm Perry, is the real deal. I just don't know the motivation behind Notre Dame anymore. I just don't. They start every year thinking it's going to be national championship, it's playoff, and here they are with 2 losses going, all right, what are we supposed to do now? It's all of that is out the window, kind of going through the motions. To me, I think this is a great opportunity, a big-time opportunity for Navy to possibly, take the points, guys, but there's maybe a little something on a upending Notre Dame in this one here for a little money line win.
Yeah, Joe, and the market agreeing with you here. To open 10 down to 7 now. Notre Dame at home. That's a pretty big move for November college football. We got 1 game left with the coupon code Joe69 at checkout for only $69. You get his week all access package, sportsmemo.com. Every play releases. Coupon code Joe, Joe 69 at checkout. 359-360 last game for this section. Then we'll bring in Robbie Vino. Finish off the next 15 games. Arizona State at Oregon State in the Pac-12. We got Arizona State laying 3, 57 the total in Corvallis, Joe.
Yeah, how about Oregon State, man? The damn Beavers showing up, showing out, a team that's taken a lot of abuse over the years. Still not great on defense, let's be realistic here, but they have certainly proven their worth on offense. They've been scoring a ton of points here. They've been boat racing teams that they used to get crushed by, like Arizona, and now they find themselves in a situation where they've got an Arizona State team. I don't know if Daniels is playing or not. That is something, guys, I would check. He missed it last year, the freshman quarterback for Arizona State. He missed last week. I don't know if he'll be starting for this one, but I'm going Herm Edwards and company. If he is playing, Daniels is playing, I'm backing Herm Edwards and company to get the job done. Better defense, better chance of getting the stops when you need it. If he's not playing, it's OSU for me.
All right, Joe. Good stuff, man. And yeah, we are recording this on Wednesday, so later news on injury front will be later in the week. And Joe, you're a Herm Edwards fan overall?
I am. I love Herm, man. I love what he's been able to do with this program. I love that everyone doubted him. He's a coach, man. Leadership there is no age behind it. Either you're a leader or you're not. And I wouldn't at all mind sending my kid to learn and to have Herm Edwards as a mentor in a football program at all. I think you can do a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like him as well, seeing what he's doing there in Scottsdale. But overall, Joe, man, great podcast. Good information here for the sports bettors. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us the thumbs up, the like button. Also, if you could share on your social media networks, that would help us out. Joe, throw out your Twitter handle, man, and anything else you want to throw out there to the listeners before we shut this down?
At Joe Raineri, guys, of course, catch it at Sports Memo on Twitter, at of course, just about sportsgrid.com, you name it, guys. I'm around. Stop by and say hello, and good luck no matter what you decide to do this weekend. And don't forget, the Lobos, at least they show up.
They're fielding a team from Joe Raineri. Good stuff, man. Always fun. We'll have Joe on next week for the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast. Joe, thanks for the time. Best of luck with your bets, man.
Good luck, guys.
All right, we'll be right back with Robbie Vino.